Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to Power Playbooks. We're so excited you're here. As we wait for everyone to join, as we just opened up the lines, please drop into chat who you are and where you're from. Say hello. And I know Todd might be missing. I wonder if he's going to rejoin. I don't see him on my screen. Hello, Mandy from San Diego, Susan from Vegas. Hi, Rebecca. Welcome, Bree from Eugene. We're kind of neighbors. I'm in Portland. Ken from Tax Free Delaware. Bettina, Tom, welcome, welcome. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started here soon. I just wanted to just check. Emily, do you know if Todd's having difficulties or if he's
I can
rejoined?
see him.
You
I'm
can.
here.
Okay. Okay, now I see him. Sorry, I had a screen issue there. Now I'm good. Okay. Welcome to Todd and Emily Hayes. We're going to talk about them in a second, but the first thing I want to do is welcome you to Power Playbooks. Every Power Playbooks session, we're so excited to bring you leaders in the space who are crushing it in one way or another, but more importantly, are authentic, generous with their time and their talents, and willing to share and really open up their playbook with us. We do this every 2 Wednesdays a month. We've just moved in April to the second and fourth Wednesday of the month, noon Pacific time, 3 Eastern. So today is our session. Our next one is April 24th. And what we want to do, and when we know we're successful, we know we've got an audience who's engaged, who's eager to learn, and they can actually take away nuggets like immediately from the call and apply it to their business. So whether you're a single agent, a team leader, you lead a brokerage, the concepts we're going to be talking about are things you can apply right away. And with that, let's get started. My name is Sarita Dua. I'm based in Portland, Oregon, and I have a team there. My lovely co-host, Via Williams, could not be on the call today. She's actually on a plane right now. So I am pitch hitting and being solo, and hopefully we'll do a decent job covering for both of us. And we're very excited to welcome Todd and Emily Hayes. They are from the Emily Hayes Homes team in Metro Salt Lake City, Utah. And I'm going to go ahead and allow them to introduce themselves and tell us a little just about their business. And before I do, I just want to talk about what we're talking about today, the topic. There's so much going on in our industry, and I think people are frustrated with regards to where they're at production wise, right? If you started the year 2024 and you look down and it's April and you didn't have as solid of a first quarter as you'd like, you're really looking for ways to actually, in a solid way, increase your business. And I love that Todd and Emily are here because they're going to share with us where they were in Q1 of 23, where they were, I think they had 8 closed in Q1 of 2023. They're going to share through all the emotions that they went through and ups and downs of the business. And Q1 2024, they closed 16 pieces of business and had 17 pending this month. So they doubled their business with tactics that you can do if you'd like to double yours. So that's the preview of what's happening. And I'm going to turn it over to, let's start with you, Emily. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you, your background, and your business.
Thank you so much, Sarita. I'm so happy to be here for everybody that's joining the call today. So I'm Emily Hayes. I'm actually originally from the Washington, D.C. area. I saw somebody is from D.C. here. Moved to Utah in 2013 and 2011, started my real estate business in 2015, wanting a opportunity to be able to grow a business that had no limits, which I feel like is a lot of the reasons why we join in real estate. So I did real estate for about a year on my own. And then at the same year that I jumped into it, my husband's company folded, Todd, and I kind of dragged him into it. So that is how we ended up working together. I got really busy and he was helping me out. And then we created a partnership. We've been both doing it together for about 9.5 years. And in 2020, we had someone reach out that asked to join our team. Well, we didn't have a team at that point. That was kind of the beginning of starting the team process. And then we had about 4 team members. We were doing the team thing for about 3 years on our own. We had kind of steadily had about 3 to 4 agents. And we recently in June or July last year joined or partner with Place. And our team right now stands at about 11 agents. I do the sales training. I still am in personal production. And then Todd is going to introduce himself about what he does on the team.
Perfect. Perfect segue to Todd.
Awesome.
Welcome.
Yeah. My name is Todd Hayes. As Emily said, she wrote me into this. I was working for a startup company in Provo, and unfortunately they ran out of funding. And so I didn't know what to do. So I went to coding school. And as I was looking for work in that field, Emily's like, "Hey, I'm getting busy. I need your help." I said, "I'll help you for a little bit." And that came in as, "Nope, I need you full time, get your license." I said, "Okay, I'll help you for a little bit." And now I ended up as the director of operations for our team. And it works really well. Emily's the director of sales. She does all the sales stuff. I want her to be front and center. Do not care. Let me be behind the scenes. I do a lot of the coaching, the accountability, the tech, the contracts, and things like for our team. So we make sure not to cross paths too much as a married couple, because that can lead to danger in a married couple.
I
So
love the t-shirt quote though. I'll help you for a little bit, and here you are years later. And you're right, right? It's very clear that you guys have like clear lines of delineation on who does what, and not all teams work that way. Even husband-wife teams that, like everybody sort of does everything together. It's very clear that your focus and even your working style. When I did my pre-call with them, they were both at working from home that day, but in different spaces on different, dialing into Zoom differently so that they had different backgrounds. So it's just how they work, which I love. And I'm sure that there's some good stories on how we got to that, but that's for another day. So let's take us back to a year ago, the beginning of, let's say, 2023. Tell us what your team looked like, what maybe your business was in 2022 going into 2023. However you want to kind of start the narrative. I want to take us back so we can really appreciate all the things you did to get to where we are today. Who would like to take that?
I'll speak to that. So in 2022, when everything crashed, my listings were not selling. I mean, I don't know if everybody remembers what happened at the peak of, June 2022, and then everything just went down. And it was the first time I had had to really deal with a market where things weren't selling, and there was a lot more going on. And I thought to myself, and Todd and I talked about this, it's like, I'm either going to get it together and start running this business and double down all of my efforts, or we're not going to make it through this. So that's kind of the beginning. It's probably like November 2022 when we really, really jumped into what are the things we did at the beginning that made us successful? Let's get back to starting at that again. And it was a slow start, right? That first quarter was probably one of our slowest quarters we've ever had in years. And at the time we had about 3 team members, but we went from 2021 where people were closing a lot of deals. It was relatively coming pretty simple, coming easily, and then their production was not where they wanted it to be. And so I was still doing the majority of the production. And I knew that the point of our team was that we wanted to have productive agents. And as we were looking, kind of reflecting on ourselves at that point, we were noticing that, our agents weren't meeting their goals, and that was really important to us. And we knew we kind of needed to start shifting that. I will say, like, things started to propel from the work we started in the fall. Really, that showed up in the summer. That's kind of where we started seeing that progress. And it's really just excelled from there. So I think that November was kind of that point where I was like, I got to turn this ship around and start prospecting again.
Well, and if I just want to interject without taking you off your game too much, I want to acknowledge that we were all there. This isn't a reflection of your team members, your talent as a leadership. COVID essentially built a barrier with regards to we stopped doing business, and depending on what state you were in, you stopped longer than other states. And then with the rates being so low, like, good markets mask skills, right? You don't necessarily need to sharpen your knife or iron sharpening iron. You don't need to be the top of your game if your phone rings every second and it's multiple offers. Your marketing plan is put it in the computer and set an offer deadline. With that, it's very easy for habits with regards to skills-based habits and focus on pipeline and production. The market really carried us almost like a tide, right? And then when the rates started going up, that's when people looked around and realized that this isn't going to happen automatically anymore. So I just want to acknowledge, I mean, you're sort of reminding all of us of what it was like, where we were cruising right along, and then the brakes, it was like we hit the brakes, right? So let's talk about it. You kind of just said you weren't quite happy with where you were and you needed to do something. I guess before you answer, Emily, Todd, give us your perspective, from an operational standpoint and agent count. Emily's kind of talking about, production wise, we're kind of not there. We're not doing the activities. And she had to figure out how to essentially re-engineer or turn around the trajectory of where you were going, which was you weren't, closing the business that you wanted to close. What would you add to that, just from your perspective?
And to be honest, I think once we got into the 2023, and trying to do the accountability with the team, trying to do the recruiting of the team, it all just became very, very hard to try to find the motivation for the team agents. And so a really big reflection point with us came right around the spring, summer, where Emily and I we actually sat down together and said, hey, what do we really want to do with our career? We felt we were kind of at a crossroads. Do we double down on the team thing and really, go all in on that? Or do we just pull back and be me, you, a small showing assistant and an admin? And as we were talking about it, because each way had their positives and their negatives, but we really wanted to grow a business, and we really wanted to help, the team members that we had. We didn't want to slow them down. So that's kind of when we kind of looked at each other and we're like, you know what, let's grow the team and let's just redouble our efforts and look around for, avenues and ways that we can help help us learn more to be better leaders, more accountability, to pass that down to our team. And so that was around July where I think we really started to do that. I started to be much more accountable with my team, holding them much more, inspecting what I expected. I think sometimes, I'll be honest, I wanted to be too much of a friend to my agents instead of an accountability coach. And so I saw that in myself. I owned it, and I turned that around to really sit down and come up with how to do coaching sessions, having them write out a sheet before you met to go over what they wanted to do, and kind of going over through their database and things like that, so they could see the opportunities that they had in there and try to remain positive.
I love it, because you're right. It's so easy sometimes to just blow things up. I'm just going to go back to me doing this myself. I know I can crush it, but really it's that age-old dilemma of, do we want to be agents or do we want to actually have a business? And you could crush it for decades, but you kill yourself in the process with no leverage, and all the reasons why we want a business to begin with, right? It's hard. Leadership is really hard. And being a friend, the care and candor you actually give someone with accountability is actually more friendly than, just agreeing with what they're doing and allowing them to continue, right? We already know that we have a formula for success, right? There's models. Talk a little bit about those models. So look, okay, so you're in July 2023. You decided, like, we just got to change things. So from Todd's perspective, right, it's like, I'm going to coach these agents. We're going to have accountability. We have expectations. We have pre-meeting deliverables. You really up-leveled your game. Talk about your Todd. What about physically, just the culture? Are you going into the office? Were there any changes you made from before to kind of this new role, or like, yeah, talk about that.
Yeah, so we were definitely we're a hybrid team. But what we really decided to do was one, we thought, it's really important that we meet every day, either in person or via Zoom. So we went from not meeting, well, we went from meeting only one day a week on our Monday power ups to doing it every day. So from 8:45 to 9, we do our script practicing. And then from 9 to like 9:30, we do some type of power up, either a training session, a market update, or like a mental health aspect. And then we all stay on Zoom from like 9:30 to 11:30, 12 together, and we make all of our phone calls there. So if anyone has a question or they need help with how to respond to something, us as a team, we're there together. And then we decided every Wednesday is going to be our in-person team meeting day. And so we can get that team energy together and have that connection still, even if we're not there every single day. So we kind of doubled down on the, consistency of having to show up and have them start their day in a productive mindset.
So that's to me, like, let's put a pin in that and an asterisk. You essentially changed the entire culture of your team. I wrote down, and I'm hitting enter right now, daily power ups, daily script practice, Zoom lead gen together all morning, and in-person weekly team meeting Wednesdays, right? How did that culture shift? How was that received with the current team? I know it sounded like you had a smaller team, right? But did they get on board, or did it not matter? Did you end up hiring to the new culture? Like, talk about how you actually instituted. Did you just wake up and say, hey, this is the new rule, this is what we're going to do? Tell me about buy-in.
I think people wanted more togetherness. So I think we had implemented it in a little bit of a sort of a way, but the things that we didn't have is we didn't have the script practice. We were not doing that at all. And I think adding in like people being there together and having a reason to stay on and make their calls as we were doing them together, it really helped. I think the whole team, no one gave us pushback on it. Even when we made like meeting times earlier and when we changed things around, nobody gave any pushback on that. And I think ultimately, maybe they just didn't tell me, I don't know.
Right.
But I think what it has done is it's really created more of a team culture, and it's created more of a culture of productivity. And one of the things that I had to kind of come to terms with was I always thought I was this special agent. I don't know if anybody has felt this way. Oh, I just do it because I network and I work in SOI business. And, I'm not a very structured person and I don't work on a schedule very well. And all these things I had been telling myself over the years were really just excuses. Because as soon as I expected things from my team, I showed up in a different way and became a different leader. And the reason I was so hesitant to start a team in the first place is because I felt like, I don't think I can do this for them. I don't know how I can tell them to do this when I'm not doing it. So now I'm doing the script practice with them and I'm doing the calls with them, and it's changing my habits as an agent and as a sales leader, and it's helped me grow. So I will say, like, that's been a huge change, is that we've implemented the productivity habits, and the people that really want to grow, they're showing up every day. That doesn't mean everybody on our team is showing up every day. That's not how it works pretty much with any team. I think if anybody has a team, they know that. But yeah, the people that really want it are thriving. It's changed things a lot in a good way.
Emily, I love your honesty, right? Which is, I was reluctant to do it because I didn't know if I could do it. And it's not like you knew you could do it. You just sort of did it and you kind of fumbled through it until you figured it out, right? Like, it's when you have a large network-based, sphere-based business, it's very inbound in that your phone sort of rings, but it's very unpredictable. And to change to more of a prospecting, like let's do the activities for more predictable results. I love that you didn't have the perfectionist tendency of like, unless I perfected, I'm not doing it. You just rolled up your sleeves and said, I'm doing this with you. And that was huge, right? Because you modeled, that's leadership in that you modeled it with them. So you've changed the culture now, and I wrote down earlier in the chat too, which they weren't too opposed to it, because when you're not exactly happy with the results you have, you're usually willing to make some changes, right? Talk about, so you talked a little bit about on the daily side. So I want to get into now, like, we built up the case, right? Like they were not happy, and here we are. Now we're doing all these things that are going to essentially change the trajectory of their business. The one thing we already talked about is culture change and showing up. What else did you do specifically to get more business? And just highlight it for us so that we can learn, for people who are like not happy with where they're at, like because I know some people are, I know this audience, right? They're like, I don't know if I want to do the daily power ups. I don't know if I want to go into the office. I don't know if I want to be on Zoom. This is what worked for them. And you need to just look in the mirror. We all need to look in the mirror on what we're doing and what we're not doing and ways that we can improve that works for us, right? So let's talk about other specific strategies that you guys use to get business. Emily or Todd, who wants to go kind of next and add to the story?
Well, I'll go with, in terms of the operation side, is we came up with a lead generation model that we had kind of split into two sides. One being what we consider our agents had to do, and then kind of their job. And then we had the team side of things, is when they earned into the business side of leads and things like that. And so we kind of broke it down to three plots. One is, committing to work in your sphere and adding to that, doing open houses, hopefully at least 2 a week, if not more. And then finally, some form of prospecting, whether that be door knocking, FISBO, networking, social media, whatever that is. A big aha for me was when I listened to some other leaders when they were talking about their models, and they kept on saying, you know what, the only way this works is it's a model, it's not a menu. So you can't go and pick and choose what you want to do. If you want to be successful, you have to do all the aspects of that lead generation. And so we really wanted our team, my motto was kind of like, if the internet goes away tomorrow, I at least want you to have the skills as a real estate agent to continue your business. And so really focusing on, those three sides of the pie of the agent lead generation for them, and teaching them with the scripts, the systems, the processes through that. And then supplementing that when they earn into the business side of things, to kind of reward them for the hard work that they're doing on that side. So it was really just about focusing on what our lead gen was, letting them know it's, for success, you have to do all aspects of it. And then we'll help you out even more once, you have earned into, those higher levels, and we can trust you with the business that we want to give you.
And
Perfect.
that was definitely a shift. So I like to think about different ways to be creative and how we can bring a new business. I started my business through networking because I never learned how to make a cold call. And so I wasn't comfortable on the phone. So I was like, well, I'll just go where people are in person and I'll meet them. So I did a lot of networking, open houses, door knocking, all those kinds of things when I started. And when 2020 hit, I actually shifted to LinkedIn, which I could probably touch on a little bit more, but that's one of the ways that actually has sort of that is one of the ways, like in 2023, where we kind of brought in more business in the later half of the year, is through our LinkedIn strategy. And that's something we're teaching our team now and kind of helping them understand it. But the other thing that we did the last quarter of 2023, last quarter of 2023, is we doubled down on our lunch and learn strategy. So one of the things that I felt like I love teaching home buying classes, but I would invite my whole database and like 2 people would show up, right? So, not everybody needs your services at time. I totally understand. But I'm like, these classes would work really well in front of at a company. So I remember when I was working, we used to have people come in and they would bring us lunch and teach us stuff. So these lunch and learns, we did a couple of them before COVID, and then COVID hit and that kind of died it out a little bit. But we started bringing that back, and we did about 6 of them the last quarter, and we've done about 6 this quarter. And the cool opportunity with this is I go in with my lender. My lender actually brings pizza for the company, so she pays for that. I teach the home buying class, and then at the end, I bring my team members who've earned into the opportunity, who've been showing up, making their calls, doing the activities, that they can come and just schedule appointments with people. And it's been a really high ROI on our time. And one thing that I'm really focused on is kind of building business relationships in the community, and LinkedIn has helped me do that. But that lunch and learn strategy is really one that I think has really boosted us as we've gone into 2024 as kind of a different kind of strategy that a lot of people don't think of.
And like, I love it. It's creative. It sort of actually fits your need of being creative and doing something a little out of the box, but also get business and works well with your style. Let's just sort of double click on that for those of us who are just listening, going, okay, I want to know more about these lunch and learns. Your idea was I worked at a company and people came in and presented to us. I'm going to go target companies and see if we can present to them. How did you come up with the topics, and can you share some of the topics, and can you just sort of share like exactly if someone wanted to do this, what are some of the things they need to do?
So the very first thing, it was really started with our home buying class. If you don't have a home buying class, I bet your lender does, or can create the slides. My lender created all the slides for us. We created it together. But it's pretty much your home buying 101 class. We mix a little bit in house hacking and investing just because we're passionate about that. But that's kind of our main thing that we teach right now. We do have an investor class, and we also have a home selling class that we teach, but we haven't brought those to the companies yet because it's the home buying classes that have been most needed. And the first thing I did, and I would recommend everybody do this, go on Facebook and just say, hey, I do lunch and learns for companies in the area. Do you know someone that works in HR or is part of an employee resource group that would like to schedule this? We can bring lunch and blah, blah, blah. So that's how I got my first 2. And then after that, it was really reaching out, talking to people as I'm doing consultations with them, working with buyers, working with sellers, and asking them, hey, this is a program that we have. Is this something you can introduce me to your HR person? Now, they're not like easy to get, but if you can really make this a one thing, or even have someone like your administrative assistant or someone on your team that you want to make more productive and bring in more income, this is such an easy thing for them to reach out and start cold emailing, start cold calling, start dropping by places. And we found that the smaller companies actually have just as high of an ROI as the bigger ones. So don't let that intimidate you either. So those are kind of my tips on it. But yeah, if you teach a buyer class or your lender does, that's the class we teach. And at the end of it, I even have like a little QR code that says, text me for slides, text your email address. No, it says text your email address to get the slides. And then I start getting more inbound leads off that. And I just send, I'm a simple person. I just have a little handwritten, like, I don't even have one over there, but it's just a paper form where people will fill out their information. And then we collect those. And at that point, we're immediately trying to get that appointment. And we probably get 5 or 6 appointments per, depends. Sometimes we had just a room with like 150 employees. That was crazy. We had a lot more. And then it's just, again, it's a hot lead for you to follow up on and try to get them into a house.
What I love about it is it's one to many, right? It's basically if you're doing a home buyer class, if you have 30 people at a company, you just did 30 buyer consults, really, right? And so, and then the hand raisers who are closer to action, they're the ones who are going to engage further, but you've now set the tone and the expectations in that class of what's the process, how to get pre-approved, what to look for, what your agent can do, you can do to prepare with your credit, blah, 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 right? All the things that you might have covered individually with each buyer. So it's very efficient, actually. So what is the lowest number of people you've had at a class and what's the highest? You mentioned 150 on the high side.
Probably about 4 that showed up, and we got 4 appointments.
So great ratio, 100% conversion. And is there certain days that work better? Is it usually lunch then?
Whenever the companies will let you come in, usually around lunch, but sometimes they have other things, other times where they do these. But I found lunch is kind of the main one. And I think, yeah.
That's great. And so, and your focus is appointments and connections, and also you're adding to your database by making them kind of reach out to you to get your slides or whatever you're getting ads to your database. Perfect. Todd, let's switch. I want to make sure I'm watching time. I want to make sure we leave at least 15 minutes at the end of this call to talk about LinkedIn specifically. But before we get to LinkedIn, Todd, talk about so we talked about culture, but talk about as Emily and on the production side is coming up with creative ways to come up with, you're adding to your database and having appointments. Talk to me on what's happening on your end with regards to recruiting, your focus on recruiting, agent count, because obviously having business, you need the people to support the business, right? So tell me what's going on with you at the same time as she's focusing on getting more buyers and sellers.
Yeah, and so as Emily's kind of doing on that, I realized that one of the only ways that we could grow, and a lot of the advice I got from other team leaders and agents that I had kind of asked for advice for, and they all kind of said the magic number for a team is 10. Like if you can get to 10, it becomes the synergy, the energy kind of good. So that was kind of in my head, okay, that's the number I'm shooting for. And so after talking with my real estate coaches, and after becoming partners with Place, I really kind of focused on that, and with kind of the value props that I had that I could present, that I could recruit to, honestly give me a confidence to really go out there and know that, hey, what I'm offering you, I can actually deliver on, and I can fulfill all my promises on that end. And so I started to run ads constantly. I still do. I have 2 to 3 running every day. I explained to my team kind of the opportunities they have in terms of recruiting, and honestly, they all jumped in with me as well. Almost half of the new team members that we have came from team members who went out and said, "Hey, I have a friend who I think would be really good. Can you talk with them?" And so it came down to talking with them, explaining that. And that has been a really great, your best source, just like a referral from a buyer or seller for your next client. It's the same thing when an agent refers to me. I know I have a captive audience that's going to listen to what we have to offer and really understand how we can help them get into that production.
Well, and you guys are both so humble, right? With your leadership. I'm hearing Emily say, I didn't know what I was doing, but I just sort of did it. And I know I can already hear it in the words you're using, Todd, of like, I know I needed to do this. I went and got coaching and I figured this out and I applied it. But both of you, I mean, hours of mastery, right? Over time, like by doing it and becoming more clear, becoming crystal clear on like what's working, what's not working, and kind of what your avatar is for either for a lunch and learn or for a client or for an agent. That confidence piece that you're talking about, it probably becomes clearer, right? At the beginning, I'm sure there's this sense that any of us who are newer to recruiting is like, man, if they breathe, it's like jello to the wall. Let's just bring them on. If they stick, they stick, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we're more prone to make mistakes because we're not paying salary to these agents. If they're independent contractors, it doesn't cost as much. Well, it does cost a lot to your culture as well as the cost of a bad hire. And it feels like over time, and I know we were talking about this earlier, is you became clearer on how to actually evaluate these applicants, asking some tough questions before you even meet them to see if they're a fit, not coming from scarcity of if I scare them away, who am I going to call next? Coming with abundance, knowing that you have a value proposition for these agents, and if they're not a fit, someone else will be. So talk about that, because that must have changed your world a little bit with
Yeah.
how you focus on recruiting.
No, and definitely, as I said before, like I always wanted to be everybody's friends. And so when I would go into recruiting before, it was the anxiety of telling someone no was weighed heavy on me. But after learning what my avatar is and really focusing on learning from the mistakes I had made with um, some team members before, I came up with that avatar. And I learned that the first interview, I really need to get into what their motivation is. So my first screening call is, I typically ask 4 or 5 questions like, do you want to do this full time? Why you want to get into real estate? And so if I like kind of the initial screen call, then I set up an in-person call. And in the in-person call, what I then try to do is ask them questions kind of about, learning about more as them as a person. Like, what are your financial goals? What are your career goals? Where do you see yourself? Before I even start to talk about what our team can offer, I really want to learn about these people as people and human beings, because the value prop can come later after that. But I really want to know who I'm meeting with and if they would be a good culture fit for us. And if I feel good about them, and I then the next step is I have them meet with Emily to make sure that's a good culture fit there. And if Emily then gives me the okay, I then bring them back and I go over our team agreement sheets, really double down again on the expectations, letting them know. But one of the first things I say when we meet in person is, hey, I want to let you know one of the things we do as a team is we do 1,000 dial day. And I know that's probably going to scare you. I know it's not comfortable, but the reason why we do that is if you can get 1,000 no's in one day, getting a couple of no's every day, every other day really shouldn't be that big. And so seeing the reactions when I kind of say that in terms of that expectation is also kind of, some people are like, oh, that's interesting. That's good. I could do that. And other ones you can see the hesitancy behind that saying, maybe this isn't for me.
Well, we're all salespeople, right? And so we tend to gloss over some of the things because we want to sort of focus on the positive. So I really love that by putting it out there. I wrote down in the chat 1,000 dial day, mentioning that is being not scared of scaring them, right? Like just putting it out there. Like, look, I want to tell you what to expect, good and bad, and this isn't going to be just lollipops and rainbows. It's work, but we work together, and the result, it's proven, and the results are there. And to tell them and have them still say sign me up versus you give them a very beautiful story and then you kind of do the bait and switch when they get there, and then they didn't sign up for that, right? And so I love that because you have a very clear culture, and it evolved actually pretty quickly when you made some of these changes, and then you hired to that culture and you made sure there was a people fit too. And you may grow slower as a result versus let me throw them in and figure out later if they fit our culture or not, but you're also not affecting your culture
Yeah.
by infusing people that may not be a fit, right? So I love that. Biggest lessons learned from that? Are you going at the right pace for you? What would you change? What do you want to do more of? The things that are working, what would you want to do more of?
I think the one thing is for me was slowing down, and really focusing really on that avatar and who would fit our culture. I think, as I said, kind of in the early days, I think, even I think a lot of team members, like whenever you start our team, I think the very first thing you do is you just take any person who raises their hand and says, hey, I want to come be on your team. And so as we kind of went through those growing pains, and sat down with the culture, We did lose a couple of team members who didn't necessarily want to come along. And that's okay. I was happy for them. We parted ways. And from there on out, I would much rather, my focus now became on quality, not necessarily quantity. I'd rather grow slower and bring in the right people because, as you said, there is a price to pay when you bring someone on, and that's my time and my energy. And so I want to make sure the people I'm pouring into deserve it and are open and receptive to it, so I can see them grow and get them, help them change the trajectory of their career to be productive and have a predictable business is what we're trying to aim for.
You mentioned the magic number initially is 10, was 10 agents. Where are you today and what is your goal for the end of the year?
So my goal for the end of the year is 24. So I count Emily as an agent because she's still in production. So currently we have 12 with her, 11 without. I typically do between 2 to 6 interviews, screening interviews a week, to try to find the right fits. And honestly, I think, and Emily would agree with this, is it's actually become easier as team leaders the more agents we have, because they're there to support each other as well. So it's not all on our shoulders, and the energy they bring together as a team also helps grow. And that competition factor, that friendly competition really helps matter as well.
Oh, if so-and-so can do it and they just started, I got to up my game, right? So Emily, we didn't talk about this at our pre-meeting, but putting you both on the spot, since you guys are both so humble, you'll never say great things about yourself. Emily, give me some comments on operations from your perspective. Like, how did he do? What's
Oh my
going great
gosh.
from the
I'm
outside from you instead of him saying it?
I'm like so glad you asked me this because I've been wanting to make a comment about it. Incredible. Like seeing how Todd has grown as a leader. I honestly didn't even know you did 6 interviews, but I'm sitting here like, wow, we have such separate roles sometimes. We're doing our own things. And the quality of people that you brought on, the like work ethic you have. I mean, a lot of our agents depend on Todd and call him. I don't even know things that are going on sometimes because he's handling it. But yeah, I'm I think, and I'm just gonna test it, like since we joined Place back in July and having the systems and the models and the confidence, and there's so many things that have helped both of us in different ways. And I can see how being around other people that are doing this with us has actually made just a huge difference in both of our lives. But for seeing how Todd has changed over the last 6 months and growing our team by almost 3xing our team, I didn't even think that was possible. Like things that are happening now, I didn't think were possible. And it's really, I just love you, Todd. You're the best.
I love this. That was a great question. I'm excited because you guys are not going to blow yourselves up. You're so like, there's 20 great things and one thing you're frustrated with, and you're going to focus on the one thing and not brag or be boastful. So I'm so happy that you're proud of him and share that. And you know what? You say it, right? He's 3x the team, and it's clear you guys are just getting started, right? I mean, 11 now without you, and double will be 24 by the end of the year. And he's going to hit his goal or die trying. Like, it's not like it's just a suggestion. He's got numbers that he knows his numbers and he's backing it up. And I'm sure he's looking at his conversion rates and what's working and how to tweak it and all of that. So I'm excited just to kind of the fact that we're watching this, you haven't even hit the apex of the roller coaster, right? You're still kind of climbing, and it's really cool to see. So Todd, I'm going to ask you the same question before we go right into the LinkedIn portion. Talk about, how your production has changed following this lead gen model, not menu. Not only Emily's leadership, but what you're seeing from the team that you got, from your perspective, because you're selling it, right? You're selling what the team is doing to the people that you're attracting. Just give me your take there a little bit, and then we'll jump into LinkedIn.
Yeah, in terms of the sales side and the production, I think what I've been most impressed with with Emily is she is in the foxhole with everybody. She is leading by example. I've never seen her prospect as hard as she has been, except for, her first couple of years when she was trying to grow that business and grow the SOI. When the market went down 30%, right? The options were either lose 30% of your business or, get going and try to make up those numbers with the work. And so Emily led our team by example, doing her phone calls, calling her SOI, setting up all the open houses for our team members so they have those abilities, working with the lunch and learns. And she's still trying new different things. She's working with people within about Relo or how to, going to the lunch and learns. The next stage is how do I become your preferred real estate agent? Let's come up with a plan together. Looking at, we all know that life changes happen. So where can I go to find those life changes people? Senior communities, divorce lawyers, things like that. She's constantly trying to think of what other avenues she can open up that can benefit her and our team. And so when the team sees that, then they just follow along. And Emily really is inspecting what we expect. She's in our database every single day, looking at, hey, are people following up with the leads? Are they following up with their past clients? Are they following up? What opportunities might be falling through the cracks that I can reach out to and gently nudge the agent into following up with that person. And I think all those things now, knowing that the team knowing that Emily is watching, and honestly, they don't want to let her down. So when she reaches out to them, they know that, okay, I better pay attention to it. So, and so it's just been impressive to see her grow as a leader, take on, and she'll admit to this as well. She used to be very afraid of calling her SOI at times, with events, she didn't want to do it. And she has finally overcome that. She's like, it's something I have to do. I'm going to do it. And she does it. And that to me has been a huge change in her mindset of she really doesn't have limiting beliefs anymore. She really believes in herself. And then that confidence, I think, filters down to the team as well.
Right. Because you're just sending a message that I'm doing and anybody can do this. You just do it. Right. So I love that. So let's switch gears. Thank you guys, by the way. This has been so great. I wish we were in person because I just love spending time with you guys. Now we're going to kind of give sort of this third bonus of our playbook, right? We've talked about production, we've talked about lead gen models, and we've talked about recruiting. But let's talk about LinkedIn as a true lead generation vehicle. I'm going to have Emily talk about how she's approached LinkedIn to get business. She's going to walk through some tactics like we did with the lunch and learns, just sort of like, how did this idea come about? Like, what is it and how simple is it? And then we're going to leave you with an item of value here, which is a follow-on conversation. She's teaching a class on this topic, and we'll drop in the chat when it is and what time it is if you want to learn more. But I'll just start, which is LinkedIn is annoying to me sometimes, right? I have a lot of contacts and I get a lot of people like, hi, you don't know me, but I'm going to do an offshore development of your app, because I follow your real estate business. So there's a lot of noise there. I do love the ability to connect when it's a prospect and I can see that I have a listing appointment. Do I know this person? Where do they work? Who knows who they know? Like, I love that part of it, but I also find it sometimes overwhelming. And as a result, I know, like, if I gave myself a grade of 1 to 10, I'm probably a 2 or a 3 with regards to using it to its full potential. So I would love you to kind of talk about LinkedIn, how you got into this and sort of what's working for you so that our audience can take away some tactics and try it in their business right after this call. Go ahead, Emily.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. LinkedIn is not as sexy as like Instagram. Let's be honest. It doesn't like it's business, right? So I think in a lot of ways, people are kind of like, oh, I know it's a thing I should do, but like, I just don't want to hang out there. I mean, who like, let's be honest, we're real estate agents who want to hang out on LinkedIn. Probably not. The good news about LinkedIn is you don't have to hang out anywhere. It's actually one of the most automated platforms that you have. And everything, including all the posts that you make, can be completely automated. And even your reach out and everything has ways to be automated as well. So I'll tell you a little bit about why I started LinkedIn. It was actually before the pandemic that I started it. Somebody had given me kind of someone else, another person was doing this tactic, another real estate agent had done a class and somebody showed it to me and I was like, whoa, this is cool. I'm going to start it. And I just jumped right in. LinkedIn's constantly changing the rules, but they do allow you to cold connect with 100 people a week. It used to be 100 people a day, but it's 100 people a week. And essentially what the other thought I had is I was doing a lot of networking with business owners, and you guys know business owners have really difficult times buying houses because, we all have to have the 2 years of income and stuff. So I was like, you know what? Where are people with jobs? Like, I want people with W-2 income. What are the highest income earners in my area? Engineers, they make quite a bit of money in my area. So I could actually narrow down my prospecting focus to that specific person in that specific job title. And it kind of blew my mind because everyone talks about finding their avatar, and you can literally find your avatar on LinkedIn by income, by job. And so I thought that was such a cool, it was such a cool thing to be able to do. So here's kind of like just to give you sort of the basics. So I basically started by reaching out to the people that I already knew, connecting with those people. And then I found companies that I'm like, hey, I know they pay a good salary, and this is the kind of, person that I know makes good money. I'm just going to start cold connecting to people every week. And so I'd send out connections. And then as soon as they connect with me, I'd send out a message that says, hey, I'm Emily. I'm a real estate agent. You got any real estate questions? Also, my network's totally open to you. So if you are interested in connecting to anyone in my network, just let me know. Because why are people on LinkedIn? To connect with people and get help for themselves. So I had to kind of think of a little like carrot where I wasn't just going in, hey, I've got a great opportunity for you on an offshore development, like Sarita, you were saying, like, it's funny, the messages you'll get, but I try to be as authentic as I can, but also, I mean, it's pretty generic. I can't, I'm trying to do massive action there. So anyway, it's a numbers game, right? You reach out to 100 people, 30 people connect, you send 30 messages, a couple of people reply, and from there getting into that conversation, if we can see if we can be of value to them, if they're thinking about buying or selling. And then that's kind of like the real basics. But what I would really recommend everybody do is get on their LinkedIn profile. If my name is Emily Hayes, realtor. If you can find me and you can look up my profile, you can copy it. I don't care. Just it doesn't have to be so complicated that you have to worry about you having all this amazing stuff on your profile. The main thing you need to think about when you're thinking about LinkedIn is a proactive reach out approach, that we're proactively prospecting on LinkedIn. It's not, and I think you can do that on other social media platforms, but I don't care about how viral my posts go or whatnot. In the class we're going to be teaching, and we'll go over a lot more like in-depth stuff on things you want to do every day. But I can't stress enough how important it is to be on LinkedIn and how easy it is. I have an agent on my team who was like paying $300 a month every month to have someone do her Instagram, and it produced, from what she gets, how like very little to zero results. And as soon as she started on LinkedIn, she's got appointments, right? She's getting appointments. She's getting people in her database, and she's like, this feels right to me. This is like a really like good strategy, and she feels good in that strategy. Is this going to be 50%? Yep, sorry.
I was just saying, sorry to interrupt you. I was just saying, we have a
No, please.
question that I was just going to roll in is
Yeah.
LinkedIn allows you to be a regular member or a premium member. Do you see value in being a premium member? Is it worth, I think it's like $59 a month,
It's not. And I'll tell you why, because you don't need to go into people's profiles. You can
right?
literally connect with them based on the search. So the value of the premium membership is being able to search and look into people's profiles. But if you're just going off based off like, the areas they're living, whatever, yeah, none of
Company.
my agents have a premium profile and they haven't needed it yet.
Perfect. And I know you're going to get into a lot in the class, but like, again, I don't know about everyone else here, but my mind is blown, right? I already know about Facebook. I know about Instagram. I know about stories. I know about reels, but like LinkedIn is this sort of uncharted territory for me. And of course, there's the thought that comes to mind of like, oh no, another thing. And whether I add it or replace it, I'm curious, how much time do you spend on this?
I spend very little because my admin does it.
Okay.
So I farm it out. I trust her with my passwords and things. There are some you can pay, costs money, but you can pay for an automated, like there's automated systems that do the reach out for you. And you can research that. There's a ton of different companies that do it. But that is basically I just get a text from Becky and she's like, hey, check out this person they're interested in buying. So she's kind of monitoring it for me.
She's like your filter. Yeah.
She's my filter.
Before you automated it, your goal was like, would you try you just essentially did those 100 connections a week that they
Yeah,
allow.
and this is what I tell my team to do. It's like just pick a day one week where you just you already have your searches of what you want to do. You have your companies and all that. You go in, you do it. You just go connect, 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 connect. Do 100 connections, or maybe as you're warming up your profile, you maybe want to go 20 a day or something until LinkedIn knows you're not a bot or spammer kind of thing. But and then I said, and then pick one day a week and do all your messaging, and just you can have it like notifications on your phone where you get LinkedIn messaging just like you do on like Instagram or Facebook. And so you can kind of monitor that. It'll also send to your email as well if someone messages you back. So I don't like people to get too caught up in being on LinkedIn, but more just scheduling a block time. And the other thing I think is this is the kind of work you can do at night when you're watching TV. Like it's mindless, right? This is not brain surgery, right? This is mindless work. So for our team members, as long as they block off the time, but as soon as you pass that week, you lose those 100 connections. You can't get back the 100 connections. So I really stress the connect with the 100 and do not worry about sending them a message. That is actually the worst thing you can do. Because if someone connects with you on a cold reach out, that was their choice. And now I get to message them, right?
It feels very spammy, right? Because you get connected and then all of a sudden you instantly get this thing and it's just like,
And we wait. We don't like send
yeah.
it right away. Yeah, it does feel spammy.
So I love that. So you separated it out. You're like, your first focus is just time block it and
Mhm.
make sure you don't lose the connection budget you have of the 100 a week. And then after you have those connections, the next strategy is reaching out to those connections. And they can be sort of separate as opposed to like do an autoresponder or anything like that.
And we did about over 100K in GCI personally last year on LinkedIn, and we've built it out over time. I think we've got like between 3 to 5 closed deals on it, but then those deals are turning to other deals. So like I said, this is like a kind of thing you want to think about it. Can I add 10 to 15% business onto what I'm already doing? Or maybe that, 10 to 20% business. Can you benefit from 3 to 5 transactions extra a year? I think all of us, that's could be the difference between us, financially, it can be huge. So I don't think it's not going to be the one thing that's going to replace everything, but it's something that you could be doing that could be easily adding, and then you own your network forever. And no one takes that away from you. Sorry, I'll stop talking.
No. One thing I've learned from you guys though, right, is you are authentically you. So think of LinkedIn as a vehicle, but then it's still your voice, right? It's like whether you farm it out or not, but like the reality is, it's it's you coming from contribution, it's connecting, it's seeing how you can help, it's offering value with your network to them. So I think of it as a vehicle as opposed to I'm doing this thing and it's not who I am and it's just extra and it's not coherent with my personality and who I am otherwise. It's still very much on brand with you, which is what I love. Um,
And I was just going to add to the thing that's really special about LinkedIn is it was made for networking. So everyone who has made a profile is basically saying, "Hey, I'm open to networking, so don't necessarily be afraid of reaching out to me." While some other ones like be a friend on Facebook or things like that, there's a little bit more of a maybe a block to that. But most
You
people
almost feel guilty if you're doing a business post on Facebook because it's also where your friends are, right? And so where you're right, LinkedIn is business and it's networking, and they're there for the same reasons. And also the way it works, right? The more people let's say you're looking for a job and Todd's friend, a friend of a friend of Todd's is the hiring manager where I have an interview. Like actually the more people then that first level, second level, third level connections actually help them with their goals. And so there is value both ways. So I love that. So Emily, can you tell us when your upcoming class is on this?
It is on the 24th, the 24th. It's Wednesday, and I think it's at noon. And it is, I believe it's the agent panel, but we're kind of our monthly agent panel at Place, and it is going to be, I'm going to be teaching kind of my LinkedIn 101 class. If you guys are interested, this is typically a paid class, but we're doing it for free for you guys and for Place. So definitely join in, and yeah, I'm so excited about it and I'm so passionate about it, and I'm glad I have the chance to show more people what potential LinkedIn has.
Well, and kudos to these guys, right? I mean, I'm just going to say it. Thank you. You guys are such givers. You're such sharers. You just open up your playbook and want everyone to succeed. So I just really appreciate your generosity of time and just sharing all the things that are working in such an authentic way, sharing where you've stumbled and what you've learned. And I just feel that you want the best for everyone here, and I love that about you guys. So we're out of time, but thank you so much. This has been a great conversation. I told Todd and Emily that we probably could talk forever, and we still have many things we could have covered. So if you guys loved what you heard and you want more, we'll see about how we might even bring them back to do a follow-on. I'd love to hear how Q1 25 shapes up based on all the things that they're doing this year. So thanks everyone. So again, our next Power Playbooks is Wednesday, the 24th at noon Pacific time. And then if you want to register for Emily's class, I think it's actually, is it noon Mountain Time, Emily?
Noon Mountain Time. Yep.
It doesn't conflict with us. We dropped the link in the chat. And then if you email us at powerplaybooks@place.com, and we can also get you information. This replay will be out and we can get you information on the class as well. Thank you so much for being here, guys. We loved having you, and have a great day, everyone. See you next time.
Thank you, Sarita, for being such a great host.
Thanks. Appreciate it. You got to tell Via I did a good job. Have a good one, everyone. Take care. Bye.